Actually, it's frustrating to most people. If you see opportunity and you have no way to actually capitalize on it, it's just frustrating, right? And so the reality is that with private lending, you can actually get in, let's say it's 10%.
Yes.
But being able to get in there and get the deal is now you're able to do something with it. Now, the numbers matter.
When you say get the deal, because the person can't get the financing
They
from
can't
the
get
bank
the
or any
financing.
other lender.
There's a whole number of reasons. One of them being you can go around a number of the rules that the banks have to follow. Remember that banks have very stringent rules because they're borrowing the money basically for free from the Bank of Canada. So to make sure that they don't just borrow forever and lend it out, they have certain regulations. Oh, you have to have X amount to put down. You have to have all these things. But now when you get into private money, if I'm lending you the money, I can look at the property and go, okay, this makes sense. I will. It's a good security. I will lend you the money for that purpose. And for you, you now get the asset. And now you get to move forward with it and do whatever you do. Let's say you got a vendor take back. And I just did a deal 2 weeks ago. An investor came to me, said, I want 50% loan to value. So that's half of the value of the property. Mm-hmm. The seller gave them the other half. I hope people can hear what I'm saying.
No, say it slower.
So we lent half of the purchase price.
Can you just what was the number? What's the purchase price?
They actually bought it out in Timmins. It was $200,000 for a 6-unit.
Oh wow!
6-unit building.
Okay, so $100,000 you guys lent privately.
We left 100. We gave them $100,000 privately. The seller gave them $100,000 in vendor financing, seller financing, and they had to come to the table with legal costs and land transfer.
So let's call it $5,000 for giggles, right?
Yeah.
$2,000 legals, land transfer tax, another $3,000-4,000 in Timmins or whatever is on $200,000. Obviously, you're not paying the double tax in Toronto, so call it $5,000.
Yeah.
So they bought a property with $5,000 actually on that purchase price.
Six units.
6 units.
Yeah.
Actually zero down. So like
cash flowing,
even with the vendor take back rate and the private mortgage.
Yeah.
Now, on a private mortgage, what is generally the loan to value on it? Like how high can someone go?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of different variables there because depending on the type of property and that. But in right now we're seeing it scale back.
Okay.
Right? There was times when people would still give 100%, and quite frankly, you can still get 100% in certain situations.
Well, we just spoke about it, but that wasn't just all private.
Like you're
money.
an investor. If I get to know you,
Yeah.
and I get to know what you're doing, why won't I give you 100,000?
You might, yes,
yeah,
exactly, and that's what private money is. Like,
right?
This is not people sitting in
it's
an
my
ivory
risk.
tower, exactly.
Right?
It's just regular Joes and
Yeah.
and Janes that are just lending each other money.
Yeah.
And if you're somebody from the investor side, not purchasing the property, if you're somebody on the side that actually want to lend money out,
Yeah.
like you're on title. Like
Yes.
this is not a. And if I hear it again from any of my clients or people on friggin' the socials, like promissory notes and bull, this is not like writing shit on a napkin. We're putting your name on title, right?
It's the level of security is such that the government of Canada allows you, an individual, to use your RSPs, your liras, your TIFs, your RIFs, your lifts, whatever, any of your registered money, they allow you to use it through a trust company to secure it against real estate, to lend in that way. This is, quite frankly, in the investing world, I'm like, this is the low level. This is easy. I
Probably the most passive investment that you can
absolutely
make by far,
right.
Yeah, like I just want to make sure before I say that.
Yeah,
in real estate.
I'm not saying that
other than maybe like a land development deal, but that's longer term. Yeah, I actually agree with you. It is the most passive investment that you can make.
Most passive.
Yeah.
If you're at 50% loan to value.
Yep.
Actually,
go back to that for a second because I cut you off.
Yeah.
You can go as high as 100%.
You can go higher if you want, but not with registered.
Not with registered. But I'm saying, like, what is kind of the, like, it's normal. Is it 80, 20?
The norm, we're
70,
right in about
30?
80, in some cases, even 75 right now.
Okay.
Like, I will still go up to 85 in some cases.
So average, let's call it 80, right?
let's
Kinda
call it
like
80.
What the bank
80 is
does,
about what-
but again, you don't have to do any stress testing as a borrower.
Yeah.
You don't have to go through the stress testing or anything of that sort. I actually do.
I'm going to do the stress test.
I was about to say, like, I actually overall for all the government interventions that happen and really what I like the band-aids that we've seen over the last 5 decades. The one that I actually did like was the stress test, because I think, again, do you disagree with it? Okay, so that, and I want to get your take on it.
Yeah.
The reason I liked it is because I don't feel like, I feel like most people are not able to regulate themselves, and they do dumb shit with money. And we just saw it with fucking, what was the money that people got for free? CERB. Like I had a friend who was away, and he's talking to somebody at, they're at a beach in Mexico, and they just get into conversation, and he finds out somebody got the money from CERB. They used it on a fucking vacation. Like, you know what I mean? Like, most people are not good with money. So at least there's a little bit of a protection that was put into place. But I want to get your take on why you disagree with me.
Well, the stress test is garbage because people, by and large, are irresponsible with their money. The moment they qualify and they close on that, then they immediately, you got a variable. Well, I've got the variable at this amount. They immediately start taking on.
Oh, yes. Like,
right?
Afterwards, 100%. Yeah,
and
well, then
so,
they go do renovations to the basements and all that kind of stuff.
So the stress test, you just throw it right. They qualify for a minute and then throw it right out the window. And so I want to look at some other, what's their actual history? What's their mindset, right? And their patterns.
And how do you determine that when you're looking at it? So you said you would stress test me as a borrower.
Credit application.
Got it.
Right.
That's it.
It doesn't take a lot. One of the benefits that I've had is I worked for the federal government, and I started in human resources. I've been dealing with people and their credit for 15 years before I got into this. Right. National defense, same thing. And then I got into corrections. Talking about dealing with people and seeing.
Yeah.
Right. So you get a feel for people and their habits, right? And you can see, I'll tell a funny story. There's a guy here who, this is before COVID, a broker, mortgage broker brought me this deal and said, hey, this guy wants whatever amount of money he was looking for, $1 million. And I turned around and I said, no, I'll pass. And she said, what? Why? This guy's worth like $39 million. I said, he's going to be broke in 6 months to a year, something like that. I said a year. And she was like, you are out of your mind. And I said, okay, but I'm going to pass. 6 months later, she called me back. She said, how did you know? Well, the guy's got 4 cars, for starters. Every credit card is maxed out. Anyone with $39 million to their name has learned certain lessons coming up. Money teaches you something as you build. Wealth teaches you something as you build. And if you haven't learned those lessons, you will not get to that point. And in this gentleman's case, he had built it all in a very quick time. He'd gotten to development. All this money was coming in.
It's too easy.
But he was spending it faster than he was getting it.
And it was just too easy.
It took was for one permit to not come through. And that's exactly what happened. A deal that was, he was looking to build 100 units. He only got approval for 33. And boom, the cascading effect right across. Now he got bailed out because of COVID. Because the courts had to shut down. They couldn't process that stuff. And then all the other stuff all went skyrocketing, So unfortunately.
Well, he got lucky in that sense.
He got lucky.
The market did the thing, right?
Right.